In this video, I want to talk about retirement, why board games lie to us, why life is an infinite game, and the one book you must read to get really clear on what happens next. Welcome to the What Happens Next YouTube channel. Hi there, I'm Chris and welcome to the What Happens Next YouTube channel, the channel where we want to explore the factors that you might want to consider when you're thinking about what happens next in our lives. This channel is designed to help you, if you're in your 50s and 60s typically, thinking about the next step and the transition you might want to make in your life coming up, and you want tips, advice, stories, expert help from a range of different aspects to think about when you're thinking about that next chapter, that next stage. Now you'll notice that I'm not calling it retirement, and retirement's fine, it's a word that we can use, but for a lot of my clients who I speak to, they're in a position where actually they're not ready to stop. They might want to change what they're doing, but they're not ready to stop. And that's why this channel is called What Happens Next and not called the Retirement Channel, because we want to reframe that next chapter as a way to explore what you really want to do with your life when we've built potentially enough resources to be able to do that. So who am I? My name's Chris Daems. I'm a dad. Currently, as I record this video, my two girls are 20 and 12. But my day job is as a chartered financial planner. The inception of this channel, when we talked about it in one of the earlier videos, the inception of this channel was because I had plenty of clients who financially maybe they had enough money to stop, but actually they were thinking more and more about the change they'd have to go to navigate what happens next in their lives. So this channel is designed for people like my clients and hopefully people like you, so we can explore some of these concepts and we can think about making positive change in our lives in our 50s and 60s. I'd love to do more of this content. I'd love to support you by sharing concepts, sharing ideas, sharing expert interviews, and there's a few ways that you can help me do more of this. Firstly, you can like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps us build the channel, invite more guests, invite guests that are really relevant to what you're planning to achieve. So liking and subscribing is really important, but also I'd recommend that you comment. Let us know what you think of the content. Let us know what you'd like to hear more about. Let us know what insights that you think might be really useful, because the more we can do to improve, the better this gets for both you and for us, because the bottom line is we want to have conversations that matter and you care about, so we can help you as much as we can. So conversations about how we help much as we can. Why are we talking about board games in this video? Well, I come from a family who loves board games. When I was a kid, my dad used to play chess quite a lot until we got to a point where he taught me, I learnt and I started beating him, and then he didn't want to play anymore. But Trivial Pursuit was a game we used to play as a kid, Snakes and Ladders when we were younger, but increasingly Monopoly, Cluedo, and the Game of Life. The Game of Life was the one that we always used to play. And clearly, board games are not meant to be real. They're meant to be, nobody's solving a murder by checking the Cluedo cards and working out who did what, but they are an interpretation on life. They are meant to be reflective. But the Game of Life lied to me. And the reason it lied to me is because, I don't know if you remember, in the Game of Life, you get to the end and the person who won is the one that had accumulated as much money as possible. And you look at that and you go, I know it's only a board game, but that effectively was what the Game of Life as a kid used to pretend what success looks like. Now, for not 1 minute am I pretending that money doesn't matter. Money when we're sitting down with clients and talking through their financial plan, is clearly a tool that enables and empowers people to live the lives they want. But it's only one part. It's only one part of the puzzle. And what I want to do is, on this channel, we'll have more conversations about understanding what financial well-being is and why it should play a part, but also having a more nuanced view of life and exploring other areas, particularly when we're thinking about going through change. Now, the interesting thing about all of board games is that those games are finite. They've got an endpoint. The end point was, in the game of life, was where, I don't know if you remember, you retire at retirement acres with this, either if you're the winner of this big pot of cash or not. And that was finite. That was the end of the game. Monopoly was a really interesting one because, in my life, I try and sort of work in a win-win scenario. Monopoly was like a real lose-win scenario because you only won when everybody else ran out of money. So Monopoly and chess and the game of life and all of these games are finite games. Now, what's a finite game? A finite game is a game with fixed rules and a clear endpoint. So you know what the rules are, and it's got a clear endpoint. But life is an infinite game because life has got no defined finish line. We don't know when it's going to end, and the rules are flexible. You make up your own rules. The definitive book on this subject is, for me, Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game. That's definitely worth looking up if you haven't seen it. And it describes how often we think about situations where the game's infinite, like life, in a finite way. We either think win-lose, when actually what we should care about is what makes us happy and what improves our well-being. But we also think about it in a way of accumulating more stuff, more wealth, more elements in our lives, instead of thinking about life in a way where we're trying to improve happiness and well-being. So if we agree, and you can read the book and make your own mind up, that we should think of life as a more infinite game, how do we do it? How do we make our lives more full of well-being by thinking infinitely? Well, in the book, Simon Sinek suggests that defining our purpose is really important. There's a reason that purpose is slap bang in the middle of the What Happens Next model that you can see at www.whathappensnext.life. I'm never sure if I now need to say www. Nobody ever says that anymore. I might just carry on. But whathappensnext.life, you'll be able to find it. And working out what you stand for as a human is fundamentally important for the infinite game. And the reason for that is, whilst jobs and careers might have an endpoint, we can't define our entire lives by that job title. And working out, if particularly when you're going through transitions, working out what you are now and what you stand for now, when that job title or that identity as a business owner then gets taken away, is a really important point when you're thinking about navigating change. What are you now? The other thing that Sinek recommends in the book is flexibility. Being flexible to life's changing circumstance and the importance of doing that. Now, clearly, transitioning from one career to part-time work, or one career to no work, or one career to working in a voluntary capacity might be a big transition. And we need to build the skills and think about life in a different way to be flexible enough to manage that change well. And one other thing he recommends in the Infinite Game is take small incremental steps towards a better future. One other book I love, and we're going to be talking quite a lot about on this channel, is a book called Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett. In that book, he talks about small incremental changes in a positive direction to change your life for the better. And we're going to be talking quite a lot about that. And Sinek recommends it in his book. So my tip for today, think about life not as a game with fixed rules and an endpoint. Think about life in an infinite way. How do we do that? We think about life's purpose, not just a role that we play in life. We're more flexible to when life changes, and we take incremental steps to whatever that better future looks like. Hopefully that's useful. We'll put links to all of the books we talked about in the comments below. But I'm curious, what else would you like us to talk about on the What Happens Next channel? What are you worried about, thinking about, concerned about when you're thinking about the transition you've made or you're about to make, and what value can we add by sharing ideas and concepts that might help think about that in a more nuanced way? That's it for today. Hopefully that was useful, and we'll see you on the What Happens Next channel soon.